It's time for the Daily Stand Up Podcast presented by AgileDad with your host, Lee Henson. Without any further ado, let's get started. It feels as though there's a recurring theme this week, and part of it is just revisiting things that people have brought up in the past and looking at it from a different perspective. This has to do with leadership and the gap of leadership being included in the Agile Manifesto, which I thought was a pretty interesting topic. But where it went kind of caught me off guard. So let's go through. So this is based on an article that someone sent in for me to review. I appreciate it. If you have an article you want us to review, make sure you send it in. This talks about the Agile Manifesto and leadership. Here we go. It says, from time to time, people declare Agile is dead. On December 1st, a gentleman by the name of Cliff Berg declared Agile dead in a viral post on LinkedIn. Personally, I think declaring something like Agile dead because it doesn't work is like declaring that a pencil is dead because it didn't turn us all into Michelangelo. Good call, right? A tool enhances your human capabilities. A tool is only as powerful as the person using it. Ooh, can I say that again? Any tool is only as powerful as the person or people or team using it. But declaring things are dead can be a good way to see what's wrong with it. Maybe redesign it. In his post, he stated that Agile is dead, but companies still need agility. Agile is dead, but long live agility. Once again, oxymoron. Let's see where to take this. So, there's a misrepresentation of leadership in the Agile context. So, Cliff is a big proponent of Agile 2, apparently. And Agile 2 starts with an analysis of what's wrong with Agile 1. If you read Agile 2, you will read that there's nothing wrong with Agile 1, but there's something wrong with the leadership model people tend to use with Agile 1. As I've pointed out in the past, the way that I see the manifesto is that it points to something that isn't explicitly described, but built into the fiber of what's there. The way that it can be described is not the way that it's not as directive. It's implied. And I think that the Agile Manifesto points to something that is referred to as the Agile mindset. But if the Agile mindset isn't something that can be easily described, there's bound to be different interpretations from different people. So Cliff and his friends in the Agile 2 world found that there's a bias in the manifesto when it comes to leadership. They found that people tend to misinterpret what leadership means in an Agile context. Most people tend to interpret Agile as having self-organizing teams that require no hierarchical leadership. Hierarchical leadership structures tend to breed toxic, power-oriented behavior. This is bad, so a lot of people use Agile as an anti-hierarchical leadership model. Managers are toxic, so let's abandon leadership for self-organizing teams. It doesn't say that, by the way. The Agile Manifesto says a couple of things about leadership. Here's what it says. Build projects around motivated individuals, give them an environment that and the support they need, and trust to get the job done. The best architectures, requirements, and designs emerge from self-organizing teams. It's easy to see how this can be read as just have the teams do it alone. If the team members are motivated, they will get the job done. These texts are from principles behind the Agile Manifesto, not from the manifesto itself. The manifesto itself is about balance. It's not black and white or in any way extreme, but sometimes people interpret it to be the caveat, the nail in the coffin, the black or white, the A or B. And it's I don't think it was ever intended to be that way. If those principles that we were talking about would have been in the balance part of the manifesto, it would have read something like this. Self-organizing teams and motivated individuals over hierarchical leadership and compliance. That's not bad, right? It would say that motivated individuals and self-organization are great and preferable, but that sometimes hierarchical leadership and compliance is needed, especially if in a heavily regulated environment. Just like the fact that working software is valuable doesn't mean that there should be no documentation. The line a lot of people seem to miss in the manifesto is that is, while there's value in the items on the right, we value the items on the left more. Yay! It doesn't say instead of, it says over, right? In an agile context, leadership is still essential. It's just a different kind of leadership that's required. So I'm sure you all are going to guess what's coming next. What kind of leadership? Well, servant leadership. The element that determines if Agile works is not as leadership, or the element that determines whether Agile works or not tends to be leadership. I don't know if I agree with that. The crisis in Agile is a leadership crisis. There is a misfit with our dominant leadership model, hierarchical leadership, and Agile. But abandoning leadership altogether is not the solution. Agile asks for a different kind of leadership. Agile asks for leadership that is empowering and gives direction. Agile asks for leadership that can combine planning with adaptability. Agile asks for leadership that can balance autonomy with alignment. Agile asks for servant leadership. And most people don't know what servant leadership means. I can tell you right now, everyone gets servant leadership misunderstood. I've heard so many different crazy definitions for servant leadership. What most people don't remember is that servant leadership is still leadership. There's still plenty of authority, plenty of accountability. The key aspect of servant leadership is that it's based on trust. There's authority, but it's rarely used. A servant leader is motivated by what helps the team, while hierarchical leaders have a tendency to be motivated by what helps them personally in their career or their power aspirations, right? A servant leader empowers their team to make decisions, but if the team is not able to do so, authority needs to be used. Sometimes the team will ask the leader to make a decision for them. Sometimes the leader spots a problem in the decision making and intervenes. It all depends on the maturity of the team. This is why everyone is a leader in a mature agile team. The people who do the work can make the best decisions and should be led. But if overview is needed, business insights or strategy, the leader can certainly help. In Agile or Scrum, there's a divide between a product owner that determines the what and a team that determines the how. This is an exact fit with the servant leadership model in which a team has autonomy to make certain decisions. The what is for alignment, the how is for autonomy. This balance between alignment and autonomy is what servant leadership really is. Sometimes the how can be strategic, and the servant leader needs to step in. The leader should never settle for mediocrity or second best. People have a need to be pushed to be the best they can be. It may not be what they want, but the leader should always be more concerned with the needs than the wants. Interesting. So if we go in and start really focusing on integrating technology and business and figuring out how everything hooks together, we're going to see that a problem that we're running into again is that leaders lack the technology or business knowledge. So this is my whole concept of Bafata, right? To build the right things, build the thing right and build it fast, you need to have input from all three of those departments or all three of those groups. So you're going to have some people who are programmed to do specific things, very specific things, and they know what they need to do, and they will move through and get those things done. And then there are other people who aren't programmed for something specific that need a little guidance to help them down a path and figure out what's the next best thing for them to address or work on. So sometimes the strategic importance differs from the importance to the consumer, and sometimes the ability for us to leverage this to build something in the future from a technology perspective outweighs all the others. So it's just one of those things where we have to understand business agility, technical agility, and personal agility to consumer. So there's three different kinds of value: customer value, business value, and strategic value, right? So technical value. So you got to figure out all three. You can't just figure out one. And of course, there are lots of opportunities for us to invest in servant leadership and double down on it, like the retrospective, where we can have that psychological safety space with the team to have conversations about this. The sprint review, so we can have these conversations with stakeholders. The daily scrum, so we can talk about it just together as a team. In refinement, so we can have this conversation with the product owner to make sure we perfect the other things that we like. And of course, it's important for us to find the best tools and techniques to do estimation, forecasting, and objective stack ranking. So if you put it together and you have a strong product vision with an executable strategy, you're limiting your work in progress, and you have the ability to forecast future things with a decent rate for success, 80, 85% success, it's going to give you that balance. It's going to give you the perfect Venn diagram. It's going to give you the perfect recipe to be successful with your Agile teams. That's going to do it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have a topic you want us to discuss, learn more at AgileDad.com. We would love to hear from you. As always, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, do take care.